FBI. Let's discuss now with John Flannery, a former federal prosecutor for the Southern District of New York, criminal defense attorney Paige Pate, and Jeffrey Toobin, CNN senior legal analyst. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us tonight for the Beyonce and Jay-Z concert. So listen, I want to play something because this is very serious business that we brought up yesterday on this show that we raised. Play something that Donald Trump advisor Rudy Giuliani said 2 days before Comey sent his game-changing letter a week ago. It's getting some new attention today. Here it is.
And I think he's got a surprise or two that you're going to hear about in the next 2 days.
Right.
I mean, I'm talking about some pretty big surprise.
Oh yeah, I heard you say that this morning. What do you mean?
You'll see.
Stay tuned. Rudy Giuliani, you're lucky because we got to go. I'm out of time. Otherwise, I keep pressing you.
We're not going to go down, and we're certainly not going to stop fighting. We got a couple things up our sleeve that should turn this around in a way that even the liberal pollsters will get to see it.
So, John, what's your reaction to that? Does that seem like he knew something was coming?
No, yeah, it certainly does. Also, for the first time when I've seen this a couple of times now, when he said up my sleeve, all I could think of was dirty tricks. And not since Tricky Dick in '72, 44 years ago, have we had something like this. But I thought the Lars Larson interview was quite telling on Friday.
You're reading ahead in the textbook. But
oh, okay, I'm sorry. I don't know your text. Okay, well, that's my reaction. It's a dirty trick.
Okay, so listen, I want to play this then, because Wolf Blitzer talked to him today and asked him what it was all about. This was his response.
I was actually talking about the advertising campaign that you were referencing earlier that I knew was going to come as a big surprise. And there were about 4 different formulations of it at that point that we had in mind, and I didn't know which one we were going to use, but I knew one was going to be a big surprise. I wasn't referring to any possible information about emails or that sort of thing.
Busted is what my reaction is. He's busted. You see, he lost that cackle. He lost that happiness. He was in the chair. The spotlight was on him. I see Mike Wallace in my mind.
But all seriousness, he was pretty excited about an upcoming campaign ad. He said, I mean, seriously, that must have been some ad. And I'm being serious here.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, like the Daisy ad, except he fed it. Yeah. I mean, the real question here is not what he heard. And, he says rumors. It's sort of like Trump's idea of rumors. Many are saying, I think this is different. I think this is fact and truth. And the question isn't so much what he was told, is what he did.
All right.
And I don't believe he was immovable on this.
Jeffrey Toobin, your turn now. This is what Giuliani told Fox News this morning when he was asked whether he knew about the FBI probe before it was announced. Here it is.
So this has been boiling up in the FBI since generic. I did nothing to get it out. I had no role in it. Did I hear about it? You're darn right I heard about it, and I can't even repeat the language that I heard. Well, all I heard were former FBI agents telling me that there's a revolution going on inside the FBI, and it's now at a boiling point.
So, Jeffrey, top Democrats seized on Giuliani's comments there, sending a letter to the DOJ's Inspector General asking him to investigate possible leaks from the FBI to Trump's campaign. How serious is this?
Well, I think it's very serious, but I think it's a lot bigger than Rudolph Giuliani. Remember what happened here is that when Comey sent his letter, he didn't even mention in the letter that it had anything to do with Anthony Weiner. The fact that this investigation, the unnamed investigation, was in fact the Anthony Weiner investigation, leaked almost immediately. But then there has been a torrent of leaks out of the FBI about the nature of this investigation, how much progress has been made. And I think the fact that this is all coming out as a result of Comey's letter, both before in terms of Giuliani's statement and then afterwards with all these other leaks, suggests that the FBI is really out of control when it comes to leaks, and it's entirely appropriate for there to be an investigation.
And Paige, you can barely contain yourself, but I want to play something before you respond. Giuliani says he was only talking about former FBI agents, okay? But Wolf Blitzer pressed him on this today, which is a Lars Larson thing that was mentioned earlier. But listen to this.
You were on the Lars Larson radio show the other day, and you said you are getting that kind of information from active FBI agents. So you used that term. I just want to make sure we're getting that right. We listened to the audio, and you were talking about current FBI agents, at least in that radio interview with Lars Larson.
Well, the information I've been getting is from former FBI agents.
So you misspoke to Lars Larson?
If I did say that, that was wrong. I have not spoken to a on-duty FBI agent about anything, I guess, for the last 10 months. I don't know. I've actually never talked about this investigation to any current member of the Justice Department or current FBI agent. I don't know if I can make it any clearer than that. You can look at my telephone records if you want. I don't, you know, acid bleach my emails.
So, Paige, are you confident we're getting the whole story here?
No, I'm not at all confident. In fact, Rudy Giuliani at that point looks like a criminal defendant under interrogation. I mean, he clearly looks like he knows something he's not telling us. But I do take issue with the fact that these leaks are somehow the result of James Comey's leadership of the FBI. I don't think that at all. In fact, this is another reason why I think Comey was right to issue the letter when he did. He did not cause these leaks, but he knew those leaks were coming. So wouldn't it be better for there to be an official letter from the director of the FBI, not accusing anyone of anything, but simply saying we found additional emails, we need to review them, and now this is inconsistent with what I told Congress earlier, so I'm clarifying the record. Not say anything more about it, not the substance of the investigation, not the details of the emails, but I think he did that to try to head off some of these leaks, not to encourage them.
Yeah, no, there's this.
How did that? Hey, Paige, how did that go? That heading off the leaks? Do you think that was a big success?
No, I think leaks were inevitable, Jeffrey. I mean, they were going to happen. But what does James Comey do? He cannot control and put a mouthpiece or some sort of tape over every agent in the FBI. We know they're frustrated. And why are they frustrated?
Well,
because some of them believe
idea.
this was a political decision.
That's outrageous. They're frustrated at what? They can't stick a crime against somebody they don't have evidence of doing anything wrong?
No, I don't think that's it at all. They thought they had sufficient evidence for there to be a prosecution of Hillary Clinton. And then they believe, rightly or wrongly, that Justice Department officials, for political reasons, decided not to pursue that
Paige,
investigation.
I believe that I should make, you know, $500 million a year, but my boss doesn't believe the same thing. So am I going to go to a newspaper or scream it around? I mean, what you're saying is not making any sense. I mean, just because someone believes and the boss doesn't, the boss is the boss.
Don, I'm not saying they're right. What I am saying is they are frustrated, and they believe that the decision not to prosecute Clinton was political. So they're coming at it from their side.
But a lot of people are frustrated.
Frustrated FBI agents in almost every criminal case I've been involved in. And it's one of the reasons why I didn't use them much as a prosecutor, because they can't keep their mouths shut
that's
about
right,
cases.
John. So how do you expect Comey to now change
then
that
Comey
culture?
should be fired because he can't supervise his own people. What better proof of incompetence, aside from the big errors he made, is the fact that he can't control his own troops?
Before we get too far afield, all right, now I'll let you guys discuss this on the other side of this, but because we're talking about the Lars Larson interview, and there's this little thing, it's called, you know, audio tape and videotape, and it's digital now, so everything's recorded. Here it is.
Other rumor that I get is there's a kind of revolution going on inside the FBI about the original conclusion being completely unjustified and almost a slap in the face of the FBI's integrity. And I know that from former agents. I know that even from a few active agents who obviously don't want to identify themselves.
Okay, so he is quite specific in that interview
Consciousness of
that
guilt.
he knows that even from a few active agents who don't want to reveal their identities, Jeffrey Toobin.
Well, I mean, it's all part of the same story, and this is all started because James Comey decided to violate one of the longest-standing principles and policies of the Justice Department by talking about an active investigation right before the election. That's what started this problem. It's Comey's fault. He's responsible for beginning this process that included the leaks, and that's where the buck should stop.
Jeffrey,
Well, I
you
think
and
there's a
both
question
know
where-
that this would not have been a problem had a special prosecutor been appointed a long time ago to make this decision and not leave him holding the bag. The FBI is
Holding
not
the
supposed
bag.
to make decisions about prosecuting individuals. You know that. Both of y'all have been
No,
prosecutors.
he
That
took the
should
bag,
go
he
to
tore
a
it apart, and he
prosecutor.
jiggled it
Okay.
all over America.
All right, hold that thought. We'll continue this discussion on the other side of the break. Don't go anywhere. this election. Back with me now, John Flannery, Paige Pate, and Jeffrey Toobin. Okay, gentlemen, Jeffrey, I'm going to start with you. Fox News anchor Bret Baier is now coming out to say it was a mistake to report that an indictment was likely in an ongoing FBI inquiry into the Clinton Foundation. Take a look at this.
I explained a couple of times yesterday the phrasing of one of my answers to Brit Hume on Wednesday night, saying it was inartful. The way I answered the last question about whether the investigations would continue after the election. And I answered that, yes, our sources said it would. They would continue to likely an indictment. Well, that just wasn't inartful. It was a mistake. And for that, I'm sorry. I should have said they will continue to build their case.
You have to say, listen, Bret Baier is a good reporter. He's usually spot on this one. He apologized. So nobody's perfect, so I give him credit for apologizing. But when you hear this in the context of all the leaks from the FBI, what's your reaction?
Well, and again, so do I. You know, journalists make mistakes, and he's right to apologize when he made one, and I've made them, and I apologize. It's part of the world in which we live and how we should behave. However, I think it is indicative of the fact that there are people in the FBI who are desperate to get anti-Clinton stories into the journalistic bloodstream. This is happening over and over again, and it all started in earnest with Comey last week. If he had simply followed Justice Department policy, this would not be happening. And that's what he should have done, and that's where the responsibility.
I want to get this in quickly. Hang on. This correction comes only after the news spread across conservative media, and Trump continues to reference it on the campaign trail. Watch this.
It was reported last night that the FBI is conducting a criminal investigation into Hillary Clinton's pay-for-play corruption during her tenure as Secretary of State. In other words, the FBI is investigating how Hillary Clinton put the office of Secretary of State up for sale in violation of federal law. The FBI agents say their investigation is likely to yield an indictment.
So, John, it sounds good, but again, not true. What's your reaction?
Not true, and it's worse than rumors. They're outright lies. And you know, I don't believe it starts with Comey. I believe it may have started with Rudy. I mean, he's represented these FBI agents. He's hired them. They work for him, and he can't know about the quote revolution. The question is the cause and effect. To what extent did he feed it? To what extent does he feed these people to give rumors? The misconduct here is not just Comey. The misconduct is wider than that. And the violation is historic, to be affecting a presidential election with lies about old investigations that have gotten nothing as a result of the investigation just days before an election. This is a major crime against freedom, good speech, and distinct and understandable elections among a democracy.
I'm up against the clock. I'm sorry, Paige. You can blame your fellow panelists or Jay-Z and Beyonce or whatever for the lack of time that we have. I'll see you next time. Thank you, gentlemen. When we come right back, the economy is a top priority. And